What the heck is sleep paralysis? Let's find out right now on What the Fed. Hey Weirdos, I'm Grant. From the days of ancient Greece up through medieval times to modern day, people have been plagued by something called the old Hag Syndrome, otherwise known as sleep paralysis. You see, from seemingly the dawn of time, people have had experiences where an entity seems to attack you in your sleep, sitting on your chest, sucking the life out of you. You can't move, you can't scream, you can't resist, you can't even hardly breathe. It just sucks the life out of you until you eventually pass out. Sounds like a few bad relationships I've had in the past. Back then, people didn't know what it was. They started off by calling it a curse, then it was a witch, hence the old Hag Syndrome name, and then of course they go with the old standby of demons, and even the devil himself, that old dog. Nowadays, we can even add alien abductions to the list, as alien abductions follow pretty much the same formula. One Greek physician named Galen seems to be the first guy to try screwing his head on right. He took a more natural approach when trying to explain this phenomenon. He thought it might have something to do with indigestion. I like this guy. He had the right mentality, but he was wrong too. While encounters like this might be paranormal, they certainly feel that way. Almost all of them can be explained away as the parasomnia event called sleep paralysis. I've actually experienced sleep paralysis a few times. The first time was during finals week at college. I woke up in the middle of the night laying on my back and I absolutely could not move. I remember my heart pounding in my chest and feeling like I couldn't breathe. I could hear some creepy voices coming from all around me. I felt like there was someone just outside my view to the left on the far side of the room. It felt like whoever was there were the ones doing this to me and that they hated me and wanted me to suffer. It was absolutely terrifying. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream for help. Man, I could hardly even breathe. Was I being controlled by a negative entity? Aliens? The government? Dead Uncle Fred? My options were extremely limited. The only path I could take was to try to calm myself down. After a few minutes that felt like hours, I was finally able to fall back asleep. Needless to say, the very next day, I did some research. I already knew the stories of the old hag, alien abductions, demons, and so forth, but I learned more about them, and thankfully, I also learned about sleep paralysis. So what exactly is sleep paralysis? Well, when we fall asleep, our body enters a state called atonia, a state where our body relaxes and sort of paralyzes itself, so that when we dream, we don't actually enact what we're dreaming about. It's pretty handy. But this paralysis is only from the neck down, hence why our eyes dart back and forth during REM sleep, and people like Dead Uncle Fred talk incessantly in their sleep. Sometimes we're sleeping so deep and our dreaming is so powerful that we sort of temporarily push past this paralysis and may twitch, punch, eat, run in place, do our taxes, etc. while we sleep. Sometimes the paralysis doesn't work at all and people sleepwalk. Your mind is still asleep, but your body is now awake. Now, sleep paralysis is when the opposite thing happens. Your mind is awake, but your body is still asleep. You're awake, but you simply can't move anything but your mouth and eyes. It's a terrifying situation to be in. Therefore, due to that terror, your mind starts telling your body to increase your heart rate and your breathing rate. But those key functions are sort of on autopilot. They don't increase. Your body's inability to respond to your brain's request for more blood and oxygen results in compounding the apparent desperation of the situation. You feel like there's an increasingly heavier weight on your chest. There are feelings of dread, of fear, of someone else being there. You hear voices, you see shadows, you see other beings, all while you can't move. You can't even breathe faster. Basically, your worst fears come to life. It's terrible. And usually the only way out of it is to fight your instincts, calm yourself down, and eventually fall back to sleep. 2 days after my first episode, it happened again. But this time, I was armed with the mighty sword of knowledge. It was still terrifying, but that terror only lasted a few seconds. Once I realized it was happening again, I was able to calm down and take some time to analyze what was really going on. Now, I truly could not move, and I could really hear voices and sense other people in the room. But the calmer I got, the less paranormal it all became. It wasn't demons, aliens, the government, or Dead Uncle Fred at all. I was being tormented by my own body chemistry. I could still feel my heart pounding in my chest, but because I understood the situation, my struggle for breath became easier and easier, and I was finally able to relax enough to fall back asleep. Now, doctors believe that sleep paralysis is caused by your body not transitioning smoothly between the various stages of sleep, and not due to psychological issues, curses, witches, or even demons. Wow, thanks science. Sleeping on your back, stress, and inconsistent sleep habits are major contributing factors, as well as certain mental disorders such as bipolar disorder. I don't have that, neither do I. When I experienced sleep paralysis, it was while I was in college, stressed out and sleep deprived from studying for finals. I'm not a freak. Okay, well maybe I am. I definitely am. But what I'm trying to say here is that I'm not alone in this. Sleep paralysis can happen to anyone. There are more than 3 million cases of sleep paralysis per year in the USA alone. The likelihood of it happening increases as the stress in our life increases, usually starting in the teenage years and then increasing in our 20s and 30s. It may happen just once in your lifetime. It may happen many times a year, or you may never have that pleasant experience at all. Now, I'm not saying that every time you have a strange experience at night that it's always due to sleep paralysis. What I am saying is that we have to start on Earth when strange things happen, eliminating known causes before jumping to the paranormal ones. So if you wake up to find yourself unable to move, terrified and breathless, try to make an intense effort to move. That sometimes works, but usually the best thing to do is fight your instincts and try to relax. Then make sure you get enough sleep and that sleep is on a regular schedule. Remove as much stress as you can from your life without actually killing anyone, and try to avoid sleeping on your back. But if the problem persists, be sure to see your doctor before you call a priest or check yourself into an alien abduction support group. Either way, feel free to blame dead Uncle Fred. And now it's over to you weirdos. Have you experienced sleep paralysis? What was your experience like? Leave a comment and any questions you might have down below. If you like what you see here, click that notification bell so you know when I make a video. And consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this channel with all your sleepwalking friends. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Stay weird.